Live from WTVO 17 and your home team, Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
I do not discriminate and have not discriminated against anyone based on their race, color, ethnicity, age.
Rockford's police chief defends himself as the Fire and Police Commission decides if he should be disciplined for comments months ago.
Charge after charge announced in a number of criminal cases, including 2 murders. County officials say no matter how many years pass, lawbreakers will be brought to justice.
The extreme heat streak hits another day. There will be relief soon, not necessarily from the weather. We look at a tentative open date for Hurricane Harbor, Rockford.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Eric Wilson. We'll get to those stories in just a bit, but first, some storms with possible heavy downpours are headed to the state line.
Let's head back over to Candace in the Weather Center. And Candace, there could be some strong winds too.
Yeah, that'll be our biggest threat with any thunderstorms that do move through, the damaging wind threat along with those heavy downpours. So we still maintain that slight risk for strong to severe thunderstorms here for us this evening. We do have that severe thunderstorm watch now for southern Wisconsin and most of northern Illinois. Again, that goes until 11 o'clock. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we had a couple isolated thunderstorms develop here early this afternoon. Nothing severe. All of the more active weather has been a little bit more focused back off to our west, but we have had some heavy rain-producing thunderstorms and even some winds. Dubuque Airport actually recorded a 58-mile-per-hour wind as it was under a severe thunderstorm warning. Flash flood warning for portions of Joe Daviess County until 10:15. So between about now and 7 o'clock, I do think we are going to stay more isolated with the storm activity. But once we get after 7, look what happens. We've got those thunderstorms kind of forming into a line, and this is where a wind threat could come to play. Notice we've stopped Futurecast here at 8 o'clock this evening. So this is more of a towards sunset and then thereafter storm event. These will produce some gusty winds. We could actually get some winds upwards of 60 miles per hour with that. This does continue through 9, 10, 11 o'clock this evening. Once we get after midnight, it's just a couple of lingering showers. So our biggest threats, again, wind and heavy rainfall with the storms as they move through. We've got a couple isolated storms for the weekend, so we'll have more on that coming up in the forecast a little later.
All right, thanks, Candace.
Rockford's police chief won't be punished for saying 16 and 17-year-olds who are shooting each other are lost.
The city's Fire and Police Commission dismissed the complaint against him, accusing him of bias. Dylan Siraki was there. He joins us live with how it all unfolded. Dylan?
Eric and Mimi, after hearing from more than a dozen public speakers, the Fire and Police Commission unanimously agreed that Chief O'Shea's comments didn't warrant any disciplinary action.
Commissioner West.
No.
Commissioner Schmitz.
No.
Commissioner Jones.
No.
Members of the Rockford Fire and Police Commission find no probable cause to pursue disciplinary action against Police Chief Dan O'Shea following a formal complaint filed against him earlier this year.
There is a select amount of individuals that he has said that he just can't do anything with, and those were 16 and 17-year-olds that were shooting each other and murdering in the city. That does not, to me, appear as discriminatory prejudice against that age group. It's against certain ones that we are, I think, afraid to call criminals.
Prior to the decision, the commission heard from 13 members of the public. Some spoke in support of the police chief. Others wanted to see O'Shea answer for his remarks. Following the public comments, Chief O'Shea was given the floor. He highlighted numerous youth outreach programs that the police department participates in.
As always, actions speak louder than words. And I wanted to give you a short summary of my actions to show this complaint filed against me to be false and without merit.
Following the meeting, a small group gathered outside of City Hall to protest the decision. But Fire and Police Commission Secretary Ian Lineberry thinks the board made the right call.
The commissioners are very good. They don't prejudge these matters. They take these disciplinary issues very seriously. So I think they reached the correct result after looking at the complaint and the facts and comparing them with the district's policy.
Lineberry says there is still a possibility that the decision from the Fire and Police Commission is appealed, but it would have to move on to the court system. Reporting live in Rockford for your home team, I'm Dylan Siraki.
Dylan, thanks for that live report.
Mayor Tom McNamara has stood behind the chief this whole time. He said today, "I appreciate the thoughtful time and energy that the Fire and Police Commission dedicated to reviewing the complaint." He goes on to say, "I absolutely believe that they came to the right conclusion."
During Chief O'Shea's statement to the commission, he went through a long list of youth programs he started with the department to help the community. Those include several basketball programs and neighborhood parties. He also pointed to the Youth Police Academy, which is free, as is the Rolling Strong program, where kids fix up bikes they get to keep. We have the full hearing with O'Shea's comments on our website, mystateline.com.
Winnebago County State's Attorney Marilyn Height-Ross unloads a number of charges ranging from weapons violations to first-degree murder. In all, 9 suspects face charges. Demetrius Shivers is accused of killing Philip Trammell Jr. Trammell was gunned down on Jefferson Street in early May. 5 other people also face weapons charges. Prosecutors say the men and women tried to keep officers from giving aid to Trammell and another shooting victim. Height-Ross also announced charges in an over 3-year-old murder case. Dontarius Barnett is charged with first-degree murder. He's accused of killing Jamie Rogers. 16-year-old Rogers was shot and killed in June 2017 on Kent Street. Barnett was already in custody in Dade County, Florida, on unrelated charges. Height-Ross says no matter how many years have passed since crimes, investigators continue to try to solve them.
There's no such thing as a cold case. We may not have had recent evidence on the case, but the case is not cold, and your loved ones are never forgotten. And I, along with law enforcement, continue to work to bring individuals to justice who have taken your loved ones.
11 people have been murdered in Rockford so far this year. Victims range in age from 16 to 31 years old.
A single car crash leaves a driver in critical condition and closes down a busy Rockford street. It happened on 11th Street between Harrison and 23rd Avenue around noon. The van's driver was leaving the Burger King parking lot when she suddenly hit the gas. The van went straight into a pole across the street. Police say the woman behind the wheel suffered life-threatening injuries. A medical episode is believed to be the cause of the crash. Police shut down the street for several hours. It is now back open. It's one of the busiest streets in Rockford.
And if you've driven on it recently, you probably noticed it's not in the best shape. Michelle Rave tells us about plans for Auburn Street.
A local business I spoke with says they're optimistic about seeing positive changes in the community. The city of Rockford received a $120,000 federal grant. The money will be used to conduct a study on Auburn Street from the river to Springfield. One goal is to improve economic activity in the corridor. Beefaroo director Melissa Pratt says she's hoping their restaurant will benefit from the results of this study, and she has suggestions on what she'd like to see.
We need more bike lanes and more walking lanes. It not only does it encourage activity, but it also definitely keeps people safe. There's a lot of people here that they walk to Beefaroo, they walk their dogs, their kids walk and ride to school because there's lots of schools in our area. So as a city, I think we could do a lot better job with that.
Rockford was one of 52 cities that received these grants administered by the Illinois Department of Transportation. In Rockford, for your home team, I'm Michelle Rave.
Hurricane Harbor Rockford is just under 2 weeks away from opening day.
The water park will be ready for people to dive in July 20th. Six Flags Great America made the announcement today. The first 2 days, the 20th and 21st, will be for members and season pass holders only. A trip to the summer hotspot will come with a few more hoops to jump through. To limit capacity, reservations have to be made ahead of time. Temperature checks and touchless security equipment will greet guests at the entrance. Masks are required for anyone over 2 years old when not in the water. And social distancing will be enforced. You can start making reservations tomorrow. To do that, head to our website, mystateline.com.
If you're looking to take a dip before then, Beloit has an option. Kruger Pool opened up to the public today. Swimmers will have to save a space ahead of time to dive in here, too. Those can be made the day of from 8 to 10 a.m. 50 people will be let in at one time for a 90-minute time slot. The pool's recreation supervisor says one reason they wanted to open is to prevent people from risky behavior when trying to cool off.
We have a river that divides our city, and if the pool facility is not open, there's a potential of somebody that's not a strong swimmer might want to go cool off in a river like that with a current, and that's just not a good situation to put kids in.
It's $2 a person to swim. For the reservation number, just find this story on the My State Line app.
Now, your first warned weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
We've had a couple of showers and thunderstorms develop, isolated here over the past couple of hours locally, but watching a line of thunderstorms off to our west, now moving into eastern Iowa, that are expected to move closer to us here as we head further into this evening. Right now, no active warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, but there is a flash flood warning for northern sections of Joe Daviess County. This actually extended until 11 o'clock this evening. First round of thunderstorms moving out produced about 2 to 2.5 inches over parts of the county, but now we've got another line of thunderstorms moving in that will produce some pretty heavy rainfall. What you see actually from those thunderstorms are some outflow boundaries moving out east now over the Mississippi River. These are actually producing a couple of thunderstorms to fire up along those boundaries. So we'll continue to see these isolated over the next couple of hours. We're actually starting to get a few isolated showers and thunderstorms kind of arcing in from the south that'll continue to lift northward. But as we get past about 7, 8 o'clock this evening, this line that is now moving to the east of Cedar Rapids, strengthening just a little bit. This will continue to push to the east, and that's where our main strong to severe threat will come in play as we go into this evening. So because of that, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch until 11 o'clock here this evening. As we go through this evening, let's kind of time things out, because not only are we going to be dealing with heavy rainfall, the potential for some localized flash flooding just with any training thunderstorms that develop, but it's also that wind potential. Here we are at 7 o'clock this evening. Notice that line of thunderstorms now beginning to move into portions of northwest Illinois, isolated out ahead of that. And any one of these thunderstorms too could also have some gusty winds. But as we get closer to 8, 9 o'clock, that's when we'll actually start to see most of this activity come through. This is going to last through 10, 11 o'clock this evening, and then moving east of us once we get to midnight and then into the overnight. There could still be a few lingering showers into tomorrow morning, but a much more dry air mass comes in on Friday on the heels of a gusty northwesterly wind, which will help to clear out our skies and actually make for a fairly pleasant Friday afternoon. Now, there is another system that comes in on Saturday. This could bring us a few showers, couple of isolated thunderstorms for the afternoon, as our temperatures will still make it into the 80s. Now, with that threat for wind damage tonight, I wanted to share this with you because a lot of times we don't have the capability to actually measure the wind that comes through, but by looking at the trees and any damage that may occur, you can actually estimate what that wind gust could have potentially been. Once we get to winds that are over 50 miles per hour, now we're talking about branches, small limbs, those are beginning to break. Winds upwards of 60 to 75 miles per hour. Now you're talking some structural damage and larger limbs coming down, and even some trees as well. Pretty quiet out there right now. Live look with our Mercy Out SkyTrack camera over Rockford. It's a toasty one though. Outflow boundary coming into Freeport, dropping that temperature into the upper 70s. But we sit at 90 right now in Rockford. 88 for tomorrow afternoon, mid-upper 80s for the weekend. Still keeping that thunderstorm threat in there as we head through the weekend, and then the heat returns, although guys, we might get into an active pattern again the middle to end of next week.
So enjoy the relatively quiet and cool weekend while we've got it. Thanks, Candace.
Samantha Rivera is the next with sports.
She'll let us know who Chicago's baseball teams will open their seasons against next year.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with Samantha Rivera.
The Illinois High School Association and the Illinois Department of Public Health are working to change things up for Phase 4 of its return-to-play guidelines, trying to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. They announced physical contact would be limited with an increased use in masks. Nothing has been approved just yet. While the 2020 MLB season hasn't quite started yet, the league has officially announced the regular season schedule for 2021. It's set to begin on April 1st and end on October 3rd. The plan is to have all 30 clubs play on the same day. The Cubs are scheduled to take on the Pirates at Wrigley Field on opening day. It's the second straight year they will open at home. They'll host the White Sox August 6th through the 8th. The Cubs will then play at Guaranteed Rate Field later that same month from the 27th through the 29th. Meanwhile, the White Sox will open up the season on the road against the Angels. Their home opener is set for April 8th against the Royals. And in some more White Sox news, manager Rick Renteria is reportedly traveling to California for a family member's funeral, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. He'll be back with the team when he clears the necessary protocols after he returns. A Big Ten conference announced they are moving to a conference-only model for all fall sports this season due to the COVID-19 pandemic if they are able to return. They want to eliminate long-distance travel. Northern Illinois is scheduled to face two Big Ten opponents this season. The NFL is reportedly going to have some changes to their upcoming season as well. Multiple reports say game day protocols were finalized by the NFL and NFL Players Association and sent out to teams. Some of the changes include teams not being allowed to have post-game interactions within 6 feet of each other, so players cannot exchange jerseys after games. Players and coaches do not have to wear masks, but everyone else on the sideline does. Media is also not allowed in the locker rooms.
A line of thunderstorms to our west in eastern Iowa. A couple severe thunderstorm warnings, even a tornado warning as the thunderstorms interact with an outflow boundary just to the northwest here of Dubuque. Don't anticipate that to be much of a factor, but as these storms move in about 7, 8 o'clock this evening, strong, gusty, and even damaging winds will be possible, along with some pretty heavy rainfall. A little windy tomorrow, a little lower on the humidity, but we return to the 90s by next week.
All right. Thanks for keeping us posted on that, Candace.
And thank you for spending some time with us. Stay safe.